I'm Hannah Conway, I'm a composer, and I've been working on a project called Sound Voice. So Sound Voice is a project that I've been developing really over the last 3.5, 4 years in conversation with my colleagues at Snape Maltings, where we're creating a body of work about voice loss and identity and really looking at where the two intersect. It was really important to me to draw together experts in voice, whether they're experts because they've experienced voice loss themselves and their families, or because they're professionals with an expertise in voice, and professionals coming from a huge range of cross-sector industries and professionalisms, and this team of creative artists, all who've come together and have had conversations about what voice means, why it's an intrinsic right to be able to sing, and how voice and our self-identity and how we're perceived by society. Music enables people to connect really deeply, really quickly. And so because of that, these beautiful human connections began, and these conversations that never would normally happen in sort of real life if they hadn't been all in that very equal space where no one's the expert, everybody has equal status, and it's actually about really getting down to the nuts and bolts of who we are and why we are and how we use our voice and what we want to say about ourselves with our voice and how other people see us. There were some individuals that we worked with, Paul and Tanya specifically, whose pieces are presented in the installation as well as on the concert platform, who we spent hours and hours and hours in individual Zoom interviews to create their works and to really understand who they are and to be able to tell their stories faithfully. It was incredible to see these world-renowned singers connect with the individuals with whom we're working.
I know.
Roddy Williams and Paul Jameson had a very deep connection. Roddy was voicing words that Paul couldn't communicate himself because his speech has deteriorated now with motor neuron disease. And the words of the song, it's like a love song to Paul's wife, Jess. And, you know, Paul at the end of that recording said, I mean, he was very emotional, and he said, "Roddy, you will always be a part of me." Tanya, as a work, came about because she was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer behind her vocal cords. And a week later, she had surgery to remove her larynx. And in that week, she made a WhatsApp video for her 2 young children saying, "Mummy's got a poorly neck, the doctors are going to make it better, and I'm not going to sound like this anymore, and I want you to remember how I sound." And she made that not knowing if she was going to survive that operation. And Lucy Crowe, the singer that came in to record the work with Tanya, immediately also as a mum, she was connected to that and connected to Tanya. And again, there was a really intimate connection between artist and Tanya.
I didn't catch my breath.
I didn't think about breathing.
This bird, while it flies.
I found a new voice.
I wanted audiences to really be up close and personal with this subject and with these people who are performing this work. And when you walk into the Kiln studio, you feel that you are, that Roddy Williams is on your shoulder. I mean, you are standing right next to him. He is projected in a 2 metre by 1 metre screen, so it's almost, it's human size. And he's right there, and the sound design is incredible. You feel like you're in front of him. And I think because of the such personal nature of what these pieces are about, it's so important that those elements are there in this installation piece, that we enable audiences to be that one step sensually closer to the work. The project has been a catalyst for total transformation of thinking and practice cross-sector. So healthcare professionals who've been involved in the project are saying, we are totally thinking about our voices within our practice and with the people who we're working in a different way. I believe so strongly in this work. I think we've created something really special, and so I hope that the work will go on to tour to hospitals, to public spaces, and to arts venues internationally.
Hi, my dear Mommy, it's Mommy here. I couldn't catch my breath for 2 years. I didn't catch my breath.
I didn't think about breathing.
What do I have to sacrifice to pay for my own breath? Take anything, take anything. Take my hand, my heart. Take my bones, my skin that glides through water, my feet that walk on land. Take anything, but please not my voice. Please not
I lost my voice. I lost my voice. But I got my breath back.
take anything.
I know now I can take
Take
anything.
anything. Please don't take my
This is my voice. My voice. This is how I sound now.
a little strange.
Yo, fam, this is crazy. This is dope.
My name is Tabo. It means joy to some people and mischief to others. Cool Burn is a film directed by a friend of mine called Julian Knox. He's a poet. It was like, how do you combine a screening of a film and a gig seamlessly? Fortunately, Cool Burn has about 5 songs, which you can hear slivers of. So we had the opportunity to say, okay, the gig will then unpack the music you hear. Cool Burn is based on a Bantu philosophy. Basically, it's looking at 2 separate concepts. One is the idea, how do you prevent mass devastation from a forest fire or a bushfire? And then the other is, how do you prevent devastation from a breakup? And seeing what those 2 can possibly have in common. The immersive aspect, the multisensory aspect, was due to a frustration I had with performances. I'd go to gigs. I've been gigging for over 10 years now, and one of the things that really frustrated me is when people come to a gig, we take care of their eyes and ears, but what else can we take care of? And smell and scent just seem so obvious. The fragrance we used this time, I need to mention that, was Hypnotizing Fire from The Harmonist. I smelled this fragrance a few months ago and absolutely fell in love with it. Has a quality that you can't quite describe. And on skin, it just changes, it just moves, it just does some really wonderful things. Home is where the most honest stories are told. And they're not perfectly written or executed, but they're just wonderful. We conceptualized a hut in front of the screen. And what was going to happen, what has happened is we've shown the film, and then while the film ends, we kind of sneak in and begin playing the same music that is on the credits, and then kind of blend into it so that we can take over from where the film leaves off while we're in this hut, which is a frame wrapped in gauze. Man. The amazing thing is that all of this worked.
COG is an experimental electronic music project. We've been working on this project seriously for about 3 years now.
And this week's been all about getting it onto the stage, playing it live.
We use lots of different sound sources. There's a piece called Belastica, which is sort of based on Bartók's wax cylinder recordings. And we just recorded like an elastic band on a piece of polystyrene, so it's this real twangy kind of big attack kind of sound. But it's our way of creating this old Hungarian instrument called a gardon.
It's based on East European folk music and Bartók's collection of folk song on early recording technology. So that was a kind of historical reference as well as a musical one, because we're obviously working with, quite advanced technology. So we wanted to use that kind of really authentic sound of early recordings.
Selena had these crackers one Christmas and then came round sort of after Christmas with this lovely offering of these little whistles, and that we combined them with some photo camera lens blowers into this funny little instrument. Really nice little sounds, but we sampled these sounds and transposed them, manipulated them in lots of different ways, and it's amazing what you can do. I've got my dad's old collection of tools, and some of the spanners just sound beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful sounds, and they also reflect the light in really nice ways. So we recorded these and then manipulated them so you can do a lot with a spanner sound, basically. So there's a few tunes that they feature in. Becoming more of a multimedia project, which is really exciting, and we've been getting into jitter as well with the help of Paul Nebel, who's sort of our engineer helper, which is live visuals generated by sound, and that's something we want to develop a lot more.
I'm really into everything from like medieval and Renaissance counterpoint to, dance music, lots of stuff in between. And I think all of those influences kind of filter through in ways that I couldn't kind of pinpoint.
I love making things. I've always made things as a kid. I used to spend all my time in the garage playing with bits of wood and stuff like that. But it feels great, making these objects, creating these sounds. Really, the music is very sculptural in a way, because it's very much we're putting that sound there, and in time and space, and we're constructing this environment.
Can I get a bit more vocals? She's tired. Thank you so much. So they call me Unique, the whole thing, and I'm going to be performing a bunch of my own original tracks, 2 covers, and a mixture of both the older material and some new super exclusive material that I'm really excited to share. Dear universe, thank you for your blessing. So the whole EP album is actually about music and mindfulness, some of my own personal experiences with being a musician, being a creative, and also some personal circumstances in my life. So I really wanted to gather a lot of more organisations that actually spoke about music and mental health, and touring both in the UK and in Hungary. Some of the old material was actually wrote in this building. I think it's an amazing opportunity. This space is one of my dream homes. The fact that I walk around literally feeling like a princess every single time I come here. So thank you so much for not just the support, both in music and outside. It's incredibly amazing. And just being really, really open with the community, and actually just allowing some of the people that might not realise they have a voice to be able to actually sing for the first time today, again, whether they realise or not. There's always going to be something spontaneous and unique about a performance, pun intended. Told you if you weren't that person, to be assertive when I need ya, I wanted, I needed you to leave. So I told you if you weren't that person, being assertive when I need ya, and I wanted, I needed you to be. So I told you if you weren't that person, being assertive when I need you, and I wanted, I needed you to leave.
We came together and I think something clicked immediately. We came from different worlds. So Sarah and Yana, who are Nemo, they come from a world where everything is written down and prescribed and it's structured, and I come from an unstructured place. I'm constantly improvising. So what I sing yesterday will not be the same as what I sing today and tomorrow. So we come from these different worlds, and we nicely collided when we met.
We've decided to get together and create something completely new. We're not calling it very many things, we're just seeing what comes out, based on our cultural confluences, I would say, rather than differences or similarities. It's a case of bringing something together that has no shape at the moment, but eventually it will. And as we're working, as we've been working through this week, we have come up with some sort of structure that brings together the Greek, the Indian Carnatic, and Sarah is kind of the gluing, the bonding element of all of this.
Pranasa essentially translates to breath of the soul, really. I mean, between the Greek translation and the Sanskrit translation, it all resonates with the breath.
Well, Sarah is playing 3 different flutes. That's the concert flute, the alto flute, and the spirit flute. Supriya has experimented with the vocal harmonizer, which was absolutely phenomenal, with lots of reverb and delay. So we used some electronics, but also from our experience, the sounds that we know of classical, Western, of pop, Bollywood, and obviously the Indian Carnatic.
And Duncan Chapman, who sits right on the top with the sounds. He's got sounds from the reeds here in Snape. He's got sounds from across the world, because we have done a bit of traveling ourselves as a duo. So all that comes together to make this piece that absolutely beautifully embraces the idea of breath.
We are definitely going beyond this residency. I think that's certain for all of us. We've really just gelled as a group. We've got such a common want and need, I think, for music, and we just want to take that out to the public now.
So the cosmic ray is the first high energy particle we knew in the history. There is some very high energy object in the universe, including supernova, high energy galaxies, and in this place you have some strong electric and magnetic field which accelerate the particle to really high energy, and eventually those end up on the Earth.
Cosmic rays are constantly showering down on us throughout history, throughout time. There's millions of cosmic rays passing through our bodies, through Earth.
We still don't know a lot of things about cosmic ray, where it's coming from, and how to reach this kind of high energy. So these are still big topics to study for people.
Lots of the compositions were built with data from a neutrino observatory in Japan called Super Kamiokande, which Tepe works for. Super Kamiokande is a giant cylinder. It's so big that the Statue of Liberty could fit inside it easily. Buried in a mountain in rural Japan. It's filled with over 11,000 golden light bulbs. They're basically sort of reverse light bulbs. When they see light, they convert it into an electronic signal. One of these bulbs is so powerful that if you lit a match on the moon, it would see it. Just one. And basically any cosmic rays passing through it, it will detect. A very clever chap called Chris Ball thought of a way to convert the live data from Super Kamiokande and have it converted into sound. And it just absolutely blew my mind that we were pulling live data from this experiment that has won various Nobel Prizes in a mountain in Japan to my little laptop running through my music software, and I would just be sort of jamming with the data, and I'd just be like, what chords am I going to get? And I'd use that as the building blocks for composition. Some of these rhythms that it's created are just the sort of rhythms that I adore. So it just felt so wonderful that once I'd got hold of this data and sonified it, it felt like something that I would write anyway, that I'd attempt to write. During the performance, we are going to pull some live data from Super Kamiokande and improvise with it. So we don't know what we're going to get. It'll just be completely random.
It's challenging for artists, I think. Sometimes you hit lots of cosmic ray, and then when you want to make some move, in the music, and then cosmic ray stop, So it's completely, yes, it's a random, and but Krista likes the idea, you react, what the universe gives you, and then you perform.
We have a device in the room called a cosmic watch, which also measures cosmic rays. Every time one passes through this tiny square, it will create a signal which we have converted into MIDI and to DMX. And then we've connected that to the Snape Malting's concert hall lighting rig. So the colours and brightness will be dictated by cosmic rays throughout the whole performance, which is really, really exciting. So this performance is the first iteration of Subatomic, and I'm delighted that King's College London have commissioned the piece. Next steps involve more research and development and the creation of an audiovisual installation that will be controlled by cosmic rays. I really want to immerse audiences within this fascinating world and to have some interactive elements, hopefully creating the feeling that there's some sort of cosmic call and response happening. We'd love to take it to festivals, science museums and art galleries and explore this mixture of lecture, experiment and new composition.